निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. You wake up and you find yourself in a jungle. You can see the trees, you can see the shrubs, and you see that the sun is setting, it's becoming dark. Your eyes are finding it difficult to see around you. And all of a sudden, you hear the roar of some creature, a lion, a tiger. You hear it coming from there, so you start running in the opposite way. And you're running, and you can't see clearly. You trip on a stone, and as you're falling forward, you fall into a hole that's in that jungle. And so you're falling down this hole, and you're scraping your hands on the sides, trying to prevent yourself from hitting the ground, and you latch onto something that's protruding from the wall. And you're dangling there. You look down and you see that that hole is actually a snake pit. You can hear those snakes hissing. You can't see them, but you can hear them. You look up, and it was a tiger. He's looking down at you, chanting Brahmarpanam, waiting for his meal. So there's death below, there's death above, and you're holding on to a root of a tree. You're stuck there, and suddenly you hear the buzz of some bees, and you feel nearby that there's a honeycomb there, and that there's some honey that's dripping from that honeycomb. So holding onto that root, you start swinging back and forth to get some of those drops of honey. And every time you swing far enough to get a drop of honey in your mouth, a bee bites you. And you feel that pain, so you swing back, but then you swing back towards the honeycomb again. You have some honey, and you have that sting. This is our life in a picture. Acharya Shankara shares that we have death below us, we have death above us. There's pain all around us, and what we're focusing on is a little bit of pleasure. Sharing this in a more soft way. A life unexamined, fill in the blank, is a life not worth living. A life unexamined is a life not worth living. But who has the time to examine their lives? We rush to work, rush home from work, drive our kids here, pick up our spouse there, attend this marriage, go to that funeral. Who has the time? Most of us, we rushed to be here. Who has the courage to examine life? I look at a mirror from far away. That way I keep thinking I'm handsome. I don't look at a mirror close up to see my hair or see my skin. I don't have that courage. Leave alone looking at the mind or what I've been doing with my life. Who has the guidance to examine. We need guidance to swim, we need guidance to drive, we need guidance to cook. We most definitely need guidance to examine our lives, but who has that guidance? Contrary to what we're all feeling, our nature is bliss. Now that's just another word for us, right? On a poster, from beauty to bliss. Sounds poetic, there's alliteration. Bliss is independent completion. We're complete when we have good vada. We're complete when we get a promotion. We're complete when people praise us. But bliss is when you're independently complete. Now many may be thinking that we are complete, but think harder. Our health may be fine, our home may be fine, our work or school may be fine, but when we wake up in the morning, when none of that is there, it's there but not there, how is it that we still feel something is missing? When we go to sleep at night and all of the masks have been taken off and we think about our day, how come I don't feel complete? Our nature is bliss, and every moment that we live is teaching us that. If we have the time and courage and guidance to examine those moments. And I'll share in brief. Whenever you're frustrated, dejected, sad, stressed, nervous, afraid, you take any vice. What do you do when you're feeling that vice? What do you do? Chant. I'm waiting for wrong answers before the right answer. We eat something, right? You go to the university during December, I don't want to study, so eat chips, drink pop, listen to music that will distract me. When it comes to an argument at home, go to the bar, go to the casino. Whenever there's a vice that we're feeling, we escape from that. And one of our most solid strategies is go to sleep. Right? I'm feeling stressed, I should go to sleep. When you wake up, it's more. Because I haven't addressed that. Vices are unnatural. If they were natural, you would want more of them. Correct? They would make you feel physically and mentally stronger, but they don't. Now let's look at the opposite. When you're calm, quiet, disciplined, focused, compassionate, forgiving, content, then what do? You do nothing. If you hear beautiful music, you close your eyes. You see a beautiful sunset, you close your eyes. You eat good vegan dessert, you close your eyes. In that moment, you don't want to do anything. Because you know if you do something, it will take you away from that contentment. Us doing nothing shows that calmness, quietude, joy is our nature. We always embrace that which is natural. So when I come here, any person comes and says, your nature is bliss, don't fight that. Examine that message. This evening, in the next few evenings, we are going to explore going deep. Going deep means examining. From beauty to bliss. When I say beauty, what part of you do you think of? The skin, right? Beautiful skin, beautiful teeth, beautiful hair. We rarely say beautiful mind. Did you ever go to someone and say, you have a beautiful intellect? Right? It's always about your skin at the surface. But from beauty to bliss. That is what we're going to explore. Who we are. And once you know who you are, you come to know what you're supposed to do. What are you on earth to do? In a corporate setting, you get a job title, and what comes with that? job description. But if you don't have a job title, you don't get a job description. We have to know who we are to know what to do. And we're going to do this through the guidance of Rishi Patanjali. How many of you have never heard of Rishi Patanjali before? Never heard of him before? Okay. And just because you buy Patanjali toothpaste, that doesn't mean that you know Rishi Patanjali. So let's open this up. Let's start with Rishi. Rishi means seer. S-E-E-R. A seer is someone who can see what we can't see. Today I met with a gentleman and he goes, "What's this?" He didn't know what to call this, so he just said, "What's this?" So I told him, my eyes see differences. You're taller, I'm shorter, you're heavier, I'm skinnier. I was talking about beauty between him and I. Sight. This is my eye of wisdom, my intellect. That is vision, in which I come to see that outside we are different, but inside we are the same. We are one. So Rishi is a seer, and I'll tell you a beautiful story so that we're clear about how great a Rishi is. I've not even talked about Rishi Patanjali. I'm generalizing now. In our Upanishad, there's a narration where a Rishi who's living near a river, he's looking out into the river and he sees a scorpion that was on a branch that happened to fall off that branch and fall into the water. And this scorpion got stuck into a whirlpool in this river and it was just being sucked into that water. So he quickly jumped into that river and put that scorpion into a cup of his hands and was bringing that scorpion out to the shore when that scorpion bit that Rishi and he dropped the scorpion. And the water carried that scorpion back to the whirlpool. So he went back to that whirlpool, cupped his hands and brought that scorpion to the side again. That scorpion bit him again. He went back, cupped his hand, and this time was able to get that scorpion to land. Then there was a young girl who happened to be watching all of this and said, "Uncle, why are you doing this? That scorpion fell in the water and it keeps biting you." And that Rishi says to that girl, that scorpion was only following its nature. The scorpion stings, and I was only following my nature. A Rishi is one who has compassion, someone who's not just thinking about themselves. A Rishi is someone who shows us that living a life of virtues is possible. Do you all know who Roger Bannister is? No one? Roger Bannister is the one who ran the first person to run the 4-minute mile. Until then, nobody had done that. Once he did it, within weeks, many people ran a 4-minute mile. Now, what happened in those weeks? Different training, different drugs, different shoes? No. Roger Bannister showed other runners that it's possible to make this hardware go that fast. Whenever we hear about virtues, we always treat it like a story, like Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings. It's just a story to us. But our rishis are amongst us, and they show us it's possible to be compassionate with even people who are like scorpions. The particular rishi we will focus on his name is Patanjali. And there's very little that's actually known about Patanjali. Some say that the Yoga Sutras he wrote are 2,400 years old. Some say 5,000. Some say Rishi Patanjali was a person. Some people say a group of people were known as Rishi Patanjali. So very little is known about Rishi Patanjali. And if you think about this more, maybe he was that humble that his name was not important. And you think of what we do. We want our name everywhere. We go to nature and carve our name into trees, into picnic benches. This is such a profound text, and it didn't matter to him. That level of humility. And now think of the people. Maybe they had that much faith that they didn't need this to be stamped that such and such person did this. They had the faith that this person's a rishi, this person cares about us, we will follow. Now we don't trust anyone, starting with the people living at home, correct? Rishi Patanjali, I'll share more details about him as the evenings go on. Let's shift to what he wrote, the Yoga Sutras. Our scriptures are known as manuals. Manuals on how to live life. We have a manual on how to use this microphone, we have a manual on how to use that heater, how to use a car, etc., etc., etc. But how are you supposed to live life? If you do this on an ad hoc basis, it's not very efficient. It seems wasteful. So we have manuals on how to make the most out of life, how to live happily, essentially. And the manual that we give most authority to is called the Upanishad. Upanishad is made up of 3 terms. Collectively, Upa means near. Ni means below. And Shat or Shad means sit. Upanishad is to sit near and below someone who knows, someone who can see, a rishi. Everything we've learned in our lives, we've learned from someone who knows. Cooking as an example. Those who cook, did you just learn that independently? You followed an online recipe or someone older than you taught you? For those in professions, did you learn independently? You had a mentor, you had a chief resident. Even now with our son Vyasa, we're fortunate that we know so many pediatricians that we just text them, call them, what about this? What about this? What about this? It's not Sheila looks to me and says, why is he like this? I don't even know about my own body, leave alone his body. Right? We need help. So Upanishad. Every person here, in this ashram, in this city, in humanity, is eligible to study the Upanishad. You don't have to be someone of Indian origin. You don't have to be a male. You don't have to know Sanskrit. Everyone is eligible to study the Upanishad, but not everyone is capable of studying the Upanishad. Everyone thinks they're capable, but not everyone is capable. So Rishi Patanjali took the message of the Upanishad. The message of the Upanishad is how to live blissfully. And he made that more tactile. He took all of those 20,000 mantras and codified them and wrote the Yoga Sutras, of which there's 194. 194 Yoga Sutras. A sutra means that which is simple yet meaningful. Simple yet meaningful. In a communication or technology way, this would be known as a zip file. The zip file is one file, simple, right? But meaningful. So much is contained within that zip file. And why the sutras are so beautiful is because back in the day they didn't have books, right? How are we supposed to memorize 20,000 mantras? We can barely memorize 20 shlokas from Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So he put these into sutras, that which is condensed. And people memorize these 194 sutras, and whenever there was a challenge in life, the sutra came up. They got that message and they lived happily. So as I'm sharing thoughts on the Yoga Sutras, it's mandatory that you memorize every sutra that I refer to. So there's an exit test, an entry test. I'm kidding for those who their hearts are beating faster right now. The Yoga Sutras are traditionally sectioned into 4 parts. That's why this is over 4 evenings. We're going to take up a part of the Yoga Sutras each evening. And I mentioned to you that there's 194 verses. We are not going to study all 194. We don't have the time to do that. And a lot of this is extremely technical. So I've gone through the Yoga Sutras and I've extracted what I feel would be the essence, would be most meaningful. We will study 5 sutras from each part. So we will study 10% of the Yoga Sutra. And if this captures your heart, feel free to study the rest. Okay? But let us try studying 10% of this. And within these 20 sutras, each evening I will encourage you to memorize 1 sutra. Why? It's like if you're facing a problem and you can't resolve it yourself, you call someone who can, right? You call the mayor, you call the chief minister, you call someone whose name can get you through that problem. We love to name drop. Just tell them I sent you. Tell them that we're friends. So I want you to memorize these sutras and treat them like a friend. Whenever that challenge is there, bring out that sutra. Okay? The first part of the Yoga Sutra is known as the Samadhi Pada. The quarter that focuses on Samadhi in English, what I would like for you to remember, this part focuses on the purpose of yoga. Purpose. So there's going to be purpose, practice, power, peace. Today we're going to focus on purpose. And right in the beginning, I share with you the most important sutra in this whole text. Some of you would have come across that. What is the most important sutra in the Yoga Sutras? No? Okay. Please repeat after me. Yoga, Chitta, Vritti, Nirodha. Yoga's Chitta Vritti Nirodha is the second sutra in this first part. Now every sutra I share with you, I'm going to open up these words so there's thoroughness. So we start from the end. Nirodha. Nirodha means transcending. Transcending what? Vritti. What does vritti mean? Thoughts. Vrittis are thoughts. Where do these thoughts come from? Chitta. Chitta is then the mind. Transcending the thoughts of the mind is yoga. Now please tell me, did it say anything about toothpaste? Did it say anything about asana, pranayama, kriya, karma? Transcending the thoughts of the mind is yoga. Also note it's not yoga. Yoga, with a short A. So let's open this up some more. If you reflect on what rattled you the most today, what bothered you the most this week, you may isolate it to such and such person, such and such traffic incident, such and such news report, but you're wrong. That didn't rattle you. Because the same person can read that same news report and not be rattled by it, correct? I could be sleeping and you can be telling me about someone stole your laptop, but I'm sleeping. You're saying it, I'm hearing it, but there's no thoughts there, correct? What rattles us the most is thoughts. Thoughts make us most imbalanced. Think, when you're lying down at night and you can't sleep, why can't you sleep? Is it because of your heart? Because you didn't eat enough? Is it because the room is too cold, the bed is too soft? We openly say, because my thoughts are racing, correct? When it comes to public speaking, what's rattling you? It's not the people in front of you. It's my thoughts about what are they thinking about me. Thoughts are what rattle us the most. Thoughts are what take us away from bliss. And this is why Rishi Patanjali is sharing right in the beginning, you have to transcend the thoughts of the mind. That's yoga. You will come to experience your nature. Our nature is different than thoughts. But for someone who's not examining their lives, I am my thoughts, isn't it? I have a fear thought, I'm afraid. I have a stress thought, I'm stressed. Give me some corporate slogans that focus on happiness. Corporate slogans.
Happiness comes in a bottle.
Happiness comes in a bottle. Okay, yes. And?
Open happiness.
Open happiness, Coca-Cola. I grew up at a time when Coca-Cola's slogan was not that. Obviously you did too. What was Coca-Cola's earlier slogan? Can't beat the real thing. But then they changed it to open happiness. They got smart. We were not interested in reality. We want happiness. So now it's bottled in Atlanta. It's available in India now. It wasn't before. There's a restaurant in the States called Bonefish Grill, I think. And their slogan is, happiness lives here. They have this dead fish as their banner. Happiness lives here. Why is the fish dead then? Shouldn't it be alive and happy? We've come to believe that our nature is not happiness. So we go to restaurants, we drink Coca-Cola, but we're actually only seeking quietude. When you go to that restaurant, when we eat that fish, when we drink that Coca-Cola, we think it's coming from the fish and from Coca-Cola, but it's actually the thoughts have become quiet. And when the thoughts become quiet, you get to see what's beneath those thoughts. Just like the creek in this ashram. We have a very beautiful creek in this ashram. And when the water is flowing fast, there's mud there, you can't see the riverbed. But when the water is flowing smoothly, there's not mud there, you can see the bottom, right? Think, if you know you're seeking quietude, then who becomes the master of happiness? You are the master of your own happiness. No corporation, no person, just from this first sutra. Thoughts are just subtle material. I have skin cells, I have blood cells. These are just mind cells. My cells keep changing. My blood keeps getting filtered. A lot of it comes out, a lot of it comes in. Can you visualize thoughts being the same way? That's all they are. I read in a book that we have 60,000 thoughts a day. So in a week, how many? Over 400,000. In a month, 12 million, correct? You're not calculating either, just smile and nod, yes. 12 million thoughts a month. Which of those thoughts are you? Thoughts are just subtle material, and our Vedanta elaborates on that so thoroughly. Now, this may seem quite subtle, so I'll offer one simple thought, and then I'll give you another sadhana. Yes, thoughts are subtle material, and so what we need to do, before we can transcend the thoughts, we have to make our thoughts go from negative to positive. Negative thoughts, you can't jump to transcending those thoughts. You have to go from negative to positive and then go past. If you got into an argument with someone living at your home right now, you're hearing me, but are you listening to me? If you're still thinking about Bonefish Grill right now because you're hungry, you're hearing me, but are you listening to me? In negativity, in tamas, laziness, you can't get to quietude. You gotta keep evolving. So let us not think I'm just gonna jump to transcending the thoughts. There's still 192 more sutras to go through. With each sutra, I'm going to give you a sadhana. What does sadhana mean? Practice. Thank you. This is not just theory. This is theory and application. So if you're thinking this is very theoretical, if you're thinking that, it's not. But nonetheless, I will give you a sadhana for each sutra. Here is your sadhana. for this sutra. Remember ghost stories. Remember ghost stories. Now, please, please, please remember, Rishi Patanjali didn't write this sadhana. I'm giving you this sadhana to make this sutra more real. If you remember ghost stories, what are ghost stories? They're just thoughts, right? And you can make that ghost story as real or unreal as you want it to be. And a child will make that ghost story so real. An adult, maybe not so, but both are just thinking about the ghost story, but who's giving who reality? So if you want to catch this sutra, remember ghost stories. Alright? I move to sutra number 12. How are we going to transcend the thoughts? How are we going to go from negative to positive? This is elaborated in number 12. Abhyasa, please repeat.
Abhyasa.
Vairagyabhyam. Tan nirodha. Okay, and you know these words. Nirodha means transcending. Tan actually is tat, referring to thoughts. So transcending the thoughts, how is it achieved? By abhyasa. What does that mean?
Study.
Practice. And the next word is vairagya. What does vairagya mean? Detachment. Keep going. Dispassion. I'm looking for a better definition. I haven't heard it yet. Prioritization. Practice and prioritization. And I'll elaborate on this. What is one of the most common questions that people ask in such forums when it comes to Vedanta? One of the most common questions. Think. What do you ask? How to control the mind? That's a good one. What else?
How to realize.
How to get realized. Please tell us practical tips on Vedanta. Yes, those are the best-selling books, practical tips. You insert the word practical, everyone loves that. Nobody does it, but they love the word. Practicing makes whatever feel practical, correct? If you practice, it becomes practical. If you don't practice, it's always impractical. So here, Rishi Patanjali is saying, transcend the thoughts of the mind. How? Practice. It's that simple for us to practice. And practicing means if we want to grow more, we have to give more. For you to be here today, you had to work harder today to finish your other responsibilities to be here, correct? Even infrastructure-wise, you have to work harder to be here. If you want to grow more, you have to give more. That's what the feeling of practice is. If you want to practice, that means you want to grow more. You ask people who study music, a little kid playing tabla, playing the drums, if they don't want to grow more, they find every reason not to practice, correct? But if they really want to learn how to sing, how to dance, even if you tell them not to, they want to grow more, they will give more of their sleep, of their friendships to do that. Practice means you have to feel that you want to grow more. Enough of these thoughts taking my bliss away. But that means you have to give more too, which is why the word following abhyasa is vairagya. And you said detachment, you said independence. I said prioritization because if you prioritize this, that means you have to let go of this. Prioritization. You think of someone like Michael Phelps. You know how many calories a day he used to eat? 10,000 calories a day. We sometimes eat that in a week. He would eat that in a day, but for the body to ingest that much, that means he's working hard to burn all of that too. Swimming in the morning, swimming in the nighttime. He wanted to grow more. He had to give more. Abhyasa, Vairagya. And there's a beautiful Sanskrit word that encapsulates practice and prioritization. And we know this word, but we only think of it in a ritualistic sense. What word? Brahmacharya, yajna. Whenever we think of yajna, we think of a priest sitting around a fire saying, Swaha, not me. Everyone's rubbing their eyes because it's getting in their eyes. Yajna means being dedicated. I'm dedicated to whatever I'm dedicated to, but dedication must pull sacrifice. Dedication must pull sacrifice. And my wife and I, we've been traveling with our son for the last 2 weeks. And I think I shared this yesterday when we got to the border in Sarnia, from Port Huron into Sarnia. Then the officer said, any purchases, gifts? And we said $75 in purchases, $75 in gifts. And he saw we had a baby too. And he goes, that's it. And I said, there's no more room in this car. We couldn't buy anything else. We couldn't be gifted anything else. Now, suppose Vyasa wasn't in our lives. Then Sheila and I can buy and drive a 2-door car, correct? But as soon as one knows that there's an infant coming in their life, instead of buying that 2-door car, you end up buying, we have a 4-door car. Eventually we're going to need an Odyssey. From a Civic to a CRV to a Odyssey. Because we're dedicated, at least verbally, to our child, to our children, and that demands sacrifice. We all do it, but in what way? What direction? This idea of practice and prioritization applies to the secular world. I gave you an example of Michael Phelps, William Gates. You keep going to anyone who's achieved in a secular way, it applies more to the sacred world, these sacred forms of development. Practice initially is always difficult. Going to the gym. You haven't gone to the gym for 3 months, but you've decided, now winter is coming, I can't be outside, so I'm going to go to the gym. Day 1, how is it? You felt like you worked out for a week on day 1, correct? How is it on day 2? Better. How is it on day 20? It's like you've been there all the time. Then you don't go to the gym one day. That's more difficult than going to the gym, isn't it? When it comes to practice, we have to remember this is difficult and then becomes natural. Difficult and then natural. Going to the gym is like that, speaking a language. All of the kids who have learned English, but they're also learning a regional language. When you talk to them in that regional language, they're very shy, right? But if they speak to a grandparent who doesn't know any other words, it's difficult initially, but then it becomes more and more natural. And I'm sharing we do this in worldly ways. Rishi Patanjali is saying, do that with your own personality. When it comes to working on transcending the thoughts. Here, for Sutra number 12, I want you to remember the famous. Remember the famous. The famous could be secular, they could be sacred. Were they born famous? They practiced, they prioritized, and they became famous. So whether it's Lady Gaga or Prince Arjuna, they practiced and prioritized. Abhyasa Vairagya. Of what? Transcending the thoughts. I'm on Sutra 20. So far, we're working with this. What I've shared so far is not new. But what happens with us is we feel very strong right now. As soon as I'm done speaking, you're back in your car and you turn on the news, all of that strength gets sapped away. It's like Bali being in front of us. 50% of our strength is gone now. There's a character in Ramayana. who takes 50% of your strength. So here, Rishi Patanjali gives us ways to ensure that our practice and prioritization doesn't get weakened. He gives us 5 supports to ensure that we're moving forward. This is Sutra number 20. So we studied 2, 12, and now 20. And you'll love the first word. Shraddha. Please repeat. Virya. Smriti. Samadhi. Prajna. Purvaka. Itiresha. Which is saying, for us to engage in yoga, we need to first, Purvaka, first we need to have Shraddha. What does Shraddha mean? Faith. We need to have Virya. Virya means courage. Virya in a simpler way means energy. I like courage. Smriti, remembrance or wisdom. Samadhi, concentration, focus. And prajna. Prajna means illumination. Prajna here can mean knowledge. If I want to practice yoga, what is yoga? Me realizing I'm not my thoughts, that I am bliss. I need these virtues to help me practice. So starting with Shraddha, faith. How do we become more faithful? All of us are believers, but not all of us are faithful. How do we become more faithful? Mananam, or reflection. And I'll give you one small way to think about this. I want you to think about a very difficult task in your life. Firing someone, buying something, correcting someone, breaking off a relationship. Think of a difficult task in your life. But you did it and you're here now, correct? In that moment you thought, how am I going to get through this? But here you are. You did get through this. Faith is nourished when we do manana, when we reflect on, we've been through this and we can get through this. Shraddha. Next is virya. Courage, energy. When is our mental energy most depleted? When? At night, specifically 9 o'clock. That's when we finish at 8:30. Then run home and go to sleep. As the day goes on, our minds become more depleted. So tell me, are you more patient when your mind is strong or when your mind is depleted? When it's strong, right? Do we indulge more in the morning or at night? At night. So here, Rishi Patanjali is saying you have to have energy if you want to practice yoga. But energy means we can't go around being so busy. We need time for energy, right? Even for those who exercise, you can't work out every day. There has to be down days. Virya, the courage to say no. Smriti is remembrance. Remembering that you went through this before. Remembering what someone else did. Suppose you're not feeling well. You have the flu. You have a broken ankle. If you remember Helen Keller, is your flu so serious? Is your broken ankle so serious? Helen Keller was blind and deaf and mute also, correct? But if you read any of her writings or achievements, she never allowed that to stop her. And just remembering personalities like that, that gives us the drive to keep practicing, keep prioritizing. Samadhi, or concentration, absorption. And this word, this thought will come up lots. about us being concentrated. Can you learn anything if you're distracted? If you drive distracted, what is the fee now? It started off as $95. That didn't scare people. Texting is more important. It went up to $250. Now I think it's $495 and 3 demerit points too. Because they just know you can't drive if you're distracted. Right? Learning how to concentrate, learning how to focus is most important. Because if you don't, the thoughts own you instead of you owning the thoughts. You have to concentrate to be able to transcend the thoughts. And finally, prajna, illumination, knowledge. A thought is like the tip of a candle. So we have a diya that's over here. And Lord Krishna says in Srimad Bhagavad Gita that our thoughts are like the tip of a candle. It's moving so fast, it's as if it's solid, but it's not solid. Even the tip of his diya is not solid. It's just moving so fast. If you are your thoughts, then you would never know that the thoughts are coming in and coming out. Ice cream. Are you watching that thought right now? Just watch it, don't elaborate. But you're watching it, right? Hatred. You're watching that thought too. Who's watching that thought? It can't be a thought that's watching itself. Just like you've never seen your face before. Did you know you've never seen your face with your eyes? You've seen a reflection of your face, but you've never directly seen your face. And you never will. Because they're different instruments. The fact that I can see a thought shows that I can't be that thought. Prajna. As long as I think my thoughts are ultimately real, then I can't transcend them. That's who I am. But if I have the knowledge that I'm different than my thoughts, that means I can start to work on it. If I can generalize this 20th sutra, Yatha drishti, tatha srishti. As your vision, so is your creation. An English way of saying that is, as you think, so you become. As you think, so you become. Rishi Patanjali is saying, when it comes to your thoughts, make sure your thoughts are driven along the lines of faith, courage, remembrance, focus, and knowledge. Because these thoughts are positive, so you can practice yoga. But if you have negative thoughts, you can't practice yoga. If you walk bare feet in a forest, inevitably you'll have a piece of wood or a thorn that will go in your foot. And if you have nothing to take that wood or thorn out, what do? You get another thorn, right? You get another thorn and pull that thorn out. You get another piece of wood and pull that piece of wood out, and then you discard both. You don't put that one back in. So here, Rishi Patanjali is saying the way to transcend the thoughts is to use the thoughts. You have to use positive thoughts to transcend negative thoughts. Then you have to use knowledge to transcend even positive thoughts. If you follow all of these virtues, it's actually a flow of becoming more and more introvert. Faith, courage. Our greatest enemy is not outside, our greatest enemy is inside. Courage. Finally, illumination, feeling that light. And the more inward looking we become, the more independent we become. And an independent person is content. They're blissful. They do not suffer from FOMO. What does FOMO mean? The fear of missing out. They do not suffer from the fear of missing out. See, right now, if you're discontent, your fear of missing out is there's a dinner party at work and here I am learning about how to be independently happy. I don't want to be independently happy. I want to be dependently happy. However, if you're becoming more inward looking, it's not FOMO, it's JOMO then. The joy of missing out. They can enjoy their dinner party. I'm learning how to be happy. Once and for all. This sutra is a great sutra to learn how to use social media. Have faith, not in what's on the screen, in the person using that. I always think about, we post pictures of Vyasa sometimes on Facebook. There's a new term in regards to posting pictures of your kids. If you exceed a certain limit, it's called sharenting. Not parenting, sharenting. Yeah, you're a parent, but you just keep sharing what's going on. Sharenting. So I don't think we're at that level yet. But I was telling Sheila, one day we should just put a picture of Vyasa like spitting up, or his diaper, or something like that. Because that's reality, correct? He's not always smiling and happy. He cries a lot. He's a baby. And that's reality. So learn about social media through here. Invest in your own equipment is what Rishi Patanjali is saying is invest in the body, invest in the mind, invest in the intellect. And when we start to invest, we'll start to taste some joy, some of that bliss. And if you have a taste of that, you'll want more, you'll want more, you'll want more. So he's asking us to become more and more inward looking. And here is your sutra for your sadhana, the 20th sutra. Your sadhana is remember your fridge. Remember your fridge. What's inside of your fridge right now? Tell me some of the things inside of your fridge. Yogurt, of course, every South Indian is going to say that. What else?
Vegetables.
Vegetables, milk, butter, bread, jam, fruits. Keep going. Juice. No one said ice cream. No one said cake. No one said Pop-Tarts. Sorry, pizza pockets. Nobody said old pickle that's still sitting there, etc., etc., etc. That's in your fridge too. I've seen your fridges. See, in your fridge, you have a choice to eat the fresh foods or the old foods. You have a choice to eat the healthy foods or the unhealthy foods. It's all there. Just like in my mind, it's all there. But do I focus on the thoughts of faith and courage, or do I focus on... We'll go to the next sutra. This is what tends to happen. I'm on Sutra 30. Long sutra. Please repeat each word. Vyadi.
Vyadi.
Sthana. Samshaya. Pramada. Alasya. What does alasya mean? So you know where we're going with this. Avirati. Bhrantihi. So that's Bhranti Darshana. Alabdha Bhumikatvan. Good. Anavastatatvani. Chitta Vikshepa. Te Antarayaha. We don't need to repeat the whole sutra. What stops us from trying to quieten the mind? What stops us from knowing ourselves is vyadhi. Vyadhi means? Ailment, sickness. In Sanskrit we have two words. Adhi means mental affliction, vyadhi means physical affliction. When you're physically unwell, what are you meditating on? That sickness, isn't it? Why me? Why did I get sick? My sister should have got sick. My teacher should have definitely got sick. So please feel the implication. If sickness is going to stop me from practicing yoga, what should I be trying to do? Be healthy. Yoga, okay? Be healthy. Not just health, there's much more. Then, sthana. Sthana is being lazy. And there's more, okay? Because some of these words are similar. Samshaya. Samshaya means
Doubt.
doubting. Doubting. Who do we doubt the most? Ourselves. If you ever observe that you doubt other people, it's because you doubt yourself. But people who respect themselves, they respect others. People who don't respect themselves, they don't respect others either, isn't it? Swami Tejomayananda says, don't suspect, respect. We go around suspecting everyone's intentions. Who's the most miserable person then? We are. So that idea of samshaya, doubting, is dangerous. In chapter 4 of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan Krishna says, the one who doubts gets nothing here and nothing beyond here. In other words, they're not happy today and they're not happy tomorrow either. Pramada. Pramada means inadvertence, carelessness. What are some signs of carelessness? Losing your cell phone. Losing your keys. Forgetting where you parked. You just introduced yourself to someone and you've already forgotten their name. Pramada. Carelessness. Alasya. Sthana is like a mental laziness. Alasya is like a physical laziness. So both are highlighted here. Alasya. Avirati. Avirati means someone who's indulgent. Virati is like vairagya. So avirati, someone who's indulgent. The word that this commentator has written is alasya is being a sloth. And now we've never seen a sloth, but you've seen Zootopia, correct? Have you all seen Zootopia? Those the driving people, that's who a sloth is. We think like that too. I should go to the gym. When? Tomorrow. And then we're dead before we finish the sentence. Bhranti darshana. Bhranti darshana means misperception. Someone smiled at you. What's Bhranti darshana? I think they like me. Even though they're smiling at the person behind you. Or they didn't smile at me. Bhranti darshana. So they don't like me anymore. I'm nervous. Bhranti darshana. Alabdha bhumikatvan. This means never finding firm footing. Not being steady. You can't drive if your tires are hydroplaning. We can't think if our thoughts are not steady. Anavastatatvani. If you have found your footing, if you keep losing that footing. So the first one is, you never found your footing. The second was, if you find your footing, you keep faltering. Chitta vikshepaha. Chitta vikshepaha, these are all ways that the mind goes in various directions. Te antarayaha, these are all obstacles. These will stop us from following yoga. Coming more to a relative level, how many people here, by show of hands, lack concentration? You often describe yourself verbally or mentally as someone who's distracted. Can I see your hands? You're all thinking, what did you say? Can I see your hands again, please? I didn't ask you to look around and judge other people. I only asked you to put your hand up. All of the people who put their hands up, I thoroughly disagree. I think you're wrong that you are distracted. We don't lack concentration. We lack interest. Interest. Whatever you're interested in, you will concentrate on that, correct? You ask someone who likes to drive, do they ever get tired driving? Just drive and drive and drive. Someone who doesn't like driving, aren't you tired? Aren't you tired? I'm tired, we should stop. Right? But the same person who likes to drive, but they don't like to wash dishes. Oh, that's straight, I'll drive, you do the dishes. We do not lack concentration, we lack interest. And that's why these qualities there's no intrinsic distraction. It's being lazy. It's being uninterested. It's being frustrated. That's what's being shared here. So now I'll go deeper into this. Why do we lack interest? Why are students not interested in school? We lack interest because our only sense of utility is worldly. Our only sense of benefit, will it help me get more pleasure? Will it help me get more possessions? Will it help me get more position? You ask, why do people go to university? It'll be for one of these three or all of these three. Someone had once told Swami Tejamayanda, they were together in the ashram, and they said to Swamiji that I have to go now, I have to go to school. And Swamiji said, why? He said, because I have to learn. And Swamiji said, you don't have to go to school, stay here in the ashram, you'll learn here too. And he goes, no, I have to learn so I can get a degree. He said, no problem, I'll give you a degree, I'll sign whatever you want to sign on this certificate. He said, no, I need a degree so I can get a job. He said, no, there's so much work in the ashram, you can work here too. But I need a job so I can have money. No problem. I'll get money and put it in a safe, and you can look at it every day. See, for that person, utility was so extrovert. And then Swamiji was trying to point that out, that we don't have really any utility for self-development. I don't have utility for calmness of mind. I don't have utility for being more patient. Conversely, I should be an alpha personality. I should separate myself from all of you by competing against you and cutting you down. No utility. So when it comes to studying the Yoga Sutras, Monday was good. I don't need to come. I studied the second sutra. Why study the rest of the sutras? When we don't have utility for self-development, we take that philosophy, and it's not about simplifying. What we do is we pull it down to our worldly level. There's no utility in being independently joyous, so I pull it down, and we dilute, and we dilute, and we dilute. One of the greatest subjects in history that has been diluted is the Yoga Sutras. You ask someone about the Yoga Sutras, they'll reference Ashtanga Yoga, the 8 limbs of yoga, which we'll study. That's, I think, 2 sutras out of 194. And within the 8, where do people focus? Not on yama. Yamas, don'ts, disciplines. So niyama, do's, more discipline. Not interested in that either. People just focus on asana and pranayama. Because the only utility is physical good looking and relaxation. That's breathing. That's it. This is what we've done. We've taken this philosophy. This philosophy is for enlightenment and pulled it down to our worldly perspective and go on talking about it. That person has mixed the ends as the means. There's no evolution for that person. But I don't know if you read what I had posted on social media today. Essentially it was, for someone who thinks they know, they'll never learn. Isn't it? For someone who knows that they don't know, they have lots to learn. But for the person who thinks they know, then that person is unteachable. That person cannot learn, which is why in our tradition we sit near and below. We say we don't know, we're ready here to learn. All that's being shared here is tamas. What does tamas mean? Being lethargic, lazy, darkness. And how do you get rid of darkness? With knowledge, with the sun, with light. Here we'll call it rajas. Tamas is removed by rajas. When we know how our mind is working, we come up with the right strategy to change that. When your kids come home hangry, they're hungry and angry. And they come with that intense look. What do? You just sweep out of the kitchen with a cheese sandwich and you just put it in their mouth. And their eyes light up and their frown becomes a smile. Because you know their climactic conditions, correct? Sheila knows. She goes, how come you can't smell that he needs a change? She can smell that in another room. Relieved because, oh, I didn't know. I think you smelled this. You should change it. But if I know my climactic conditions, tamas, rajas, sattva, then I can adapt accordingly. If I know I'm being tamasic, I should be rajasic. So here's your sadhana for the 30th sutra. Remember the sun. Remember the sun, as in the sun in the sky. That sun removes tamas, or darkness. Looking at me, because one of it is smriti, remembrance. What was the first remember? Remember? Remember ghost stories. Ghost stories are just thoughts. Remember, what was number 2? The famous. They practice, they prioritize. Even the most vicious people practiced and prioritized too. You know, certain politicians, I won't name names, you already know who I'm talking about. They practiced to get there. They prioritized to get there. Number 3, remember? The fridge. What you choose from that fridge, literally what you eat will make up your mind also. Number 4, remember? The sun. We'll study one more sutra from this section. Now before I introduce the sutra, this is a wonderful sutra. Coming back to the low point of your day today or your week, what caused you to, for today, whatever point of the day was low for you today or this week, what caused that?
Other people.
People, correct. Now stop, I don't want you to name names, you know, they're sitting right there. People. This sutra is about people. And what subject are we studying? Yoga, isn't it? Did people ever talk about people when it comes to the study of yoga? See how little we know. I'm only covering 5 sutras. You know how many sutras are in this first section? 51, I think. So much to study. I'll just make sure I'm right with all of you. 51. Please repeat. Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Apekshanam, Sukha, Dukkha, Punya, Apunya, Vishayanam, Bhavanatan. Let me make sure you got that right. Bhavanataha, Chitta, Prasadanam. You know some of these words. Maitri, friendly, good. Karuna, compassion. So Maitri means being friendly. Karuna means being compassionate. Mudita, being happy. Anapeksha, being indifferent. Sukha, happy. Dukkha, unhappy. Punya, someone who's engaged in responsibilities. Apunya, someone who's irresponsible. Vishayanam, he's referring to people being like this. Bhavana taha chitta prasadanam. If you want to be happy, you have to act with people in this way. Okay, so now I'll piece this together. For someone who is happy, how should you be towards that person? Friendly. Whenever we meet someone who's happy, how are we? Envious, isn't it? They have something I don't have. We see sad people, we don't question them at all. We see happy people, what's wrong with you? Whatever you ate, tell me too. But with happy people, we should be friendly. That requires a lot of humility. That I may not be happy, but I see you happy and I'm happy for your happiness. I find that so rare now. to be happy for another person. And it just shows how selfish we are. For someone who's in dukkha, someone who's sad, how should we be with them? Karuna, compassion. Compassion comes from the base, the Latin phrase, compati. It's probably pronounced differently, but I just put an Indian accent on it. It means to suffer with another. When someone is sad, we always say, why are you sad? If someone has a mental illness, we say, when will you get better? It shows no compassion. To suffer with another, come down to them. We try to bring God down to ourselves when we don't even go down to another person, isn't it? Just to highlight how we live our lives. For someone who is engaged in punya, someone who is responsible, someone who is virtuous, how should we be? Mudita. We should be rejoicing for them. We should be supporting them in their responsibility. If you're someone who stays up late at night, don't you keep asking other people to, why don't you stay up? Just one night. It's okay if you'll be sleepy in school tomorrow, you'll miss work. But for someone who's getting up to go to the gym in the morning, getting up to read, we should say, yeah, go to sleep, I'll be quiet. But secretly we make more noise so that they are. So they don't go to sleep and they'll be like us. And for someone who's engaged in being irresponsible, adharma, how should we be? Indifferent. No, we shouldn't be rattled here. When you see a bad driver and you keep focusing on the bad driver, what happens to your driver? We become like them too. We veer into their car. Be indifferent means, focus on what your responsibilities are. People bring pressure into our lives. And it's only when we're under pressure that our real personality is shown. That's why this sutra is included, to really show who you are. To become a Navy SEAL, I'm told, one of the elements of their training is that you have to stay awake for a full week. For a full 168 hours, you can't sleep. Now, how you're responding after those 168 hours would really be a show of strength. Can you still make decisions? Can you still write? And so on and so forth. So here too, people bring that pressure into our lives. And Patanjali Rishi is saying is we have to learn virtues before we can start transcending the thoughts. Again, pulling us from negativity into positivity. And the more you know your mind, the more you come to know all minds. So if you're reading between these sutras, for you to respond to another person, you first have to learn about your own mind. The Yoga Sutras are not about asana and pranayama. It is about the mind. Do you all remember what the theme of our Devi retreat was a few months ago?
Being a better person.
Being the better person, being the bigger person. In all of these strategies, it means being the bigger person. Being friendly with those who are in happiness, being compassionate with those in sadness, being supportive of those who are responsible, being indifferent to those who are irresponsible. That requires us being the bigger person. And this is a great gauge to see if you're growing. I've been coming here for 6 years, as was shared. Now going on 6.5 years. Today I was asking someone, how happy are you? From 1 to 100. And it seems like an unreasonable question. How can you quantify it? But if you can try to quantify it, then it becomes easier to see if I'm growing or shrinking. A gauge of growth is to see how much you can absorb. When that compliment comes in, how much you can absorb of that without being moved. That criticism comes in, even more so. When collective criticism comes in, to stay your course shows you're following the sutra. And this is why Bhagwan Ganesha has this huge belly. Elephants don't have big bellies. Have you seen an elephant? It's perfectly proportionate. A hippo doesn't have a big belly. Its legs are like that too. But when you see Ganeshji, he has a disproportionate belly. That symbolizes he's able to absorb all, specifically Dvaita, the ups and downs. He's able to absorb that. We look like Ganeshji, but we don't absorb anything. We should also learn how to absorb the pressure of people. So here's your sadhana. Your fifth sadhana is remember the ocean. Remember the ocean. The ocean keeps on taking water and it poetically stays balanced. Now I can't even use that example because ocean levels are rising, but poetically the ocean stays balanced. In the first sutra, we focused on bliss is silence. They say silence is golden, correct? Bliss is silence, and it's the thoughts that make our lives noisy. So in the second sutra, what Rishi Patanjali is saying is that our purpose should be to quieten the thoughts through practice and prioritization. In the third sutra we study, we have to follow through with practice, prioritization. Following through means making ourselves more positive, starting with faith. Swami Vivekananda says, the only atheist is the one who does not believe in themselves. If I want to practice making my thoughts quiet, I need to have faith and courage, remembrance, focus, knowledge. Without knowledge, this is not possible. In the fourth sutra, Rishi Patanjali shows us what our habits are. We are judgmental. We're lazy, we're unsteady, we're careless. These are our habits, no? And he shares in the final sutra we studied that if you want to keep on testing yourself of whether you're stuck in negativity or shifting to positivity, be with people. That's the real test of our minds. Coming back to an earlier thought about utility, I used to teach in another center, and our study group was big. We used to have 35 people that used to come to this study group, but slowly some people left. And I followed up with them. How come you don't attend the study? I want to repeat what I said. Another city. Another center. Don't go on projecting that I think it's her. And I said, how come you don't come to the study group anymore? And they said, it's not practical enough. And I asked them, what do you think we do in our study groups? And they said, we study the mind. And then I asked them, when are you not your mind? And they said, never. And you're telling me this is not practical. All we do is study the mind. All you are is the mind. What's more utilitarian than studying how the mind works so you can shift it to become better and better and better? For any thoughtful person, they will realize that the greatest utility is to work on the mind. Not just with the mind, but to work on the mind. Because if the mind is worked on, we develop harmony. The intellect starts to guide us, the body starts to follow. But when the middle person is disharmonious, the intellect is trying to guide us, but we can't hear the intellect. The body doesn't know what to do. When I'm mentally not well, even angry, it affects my body, correct? My heart rate is faster. I don't feel good about myself. Working on the mind is utilitarian. It brings harmony to us. And what these sutras are guiding us to do is to forget our selfishness. When we start to forget our selfishness through these techniques, the mind becomes more and more quiet. The more selfless you are, the quieter your mind. Like an infant, Their only thought is about physiology. There's no, I look like this, you're better than me. The people who know how to contemplate, they sleep well. But don't spin it the other way. I know how to sleep well, so I know to contemplate. Back to misunderstanding. Truly, those who know how to contemplate well, they sleep well, they get up well. We need peace within. And if you're feeling that it's not a need, we certainly need peace without. Our city, our country, but don't be mistaken that you're going to have peace without peace within. So for the truly sensitive, for the truly engaged social workers, start focusing on peace within before you start focusing on peace without. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhave. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.